Okay. I can do that. I wasn't spend the money on these things. I got like 4 of these things. The meeting tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Stand for pledge of allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of item 12, which is appointing Brad to the Port Authority Board.
Second.
Any more discussion? Not all in favor?
We have a question here.
There's another correction on the minutes.
The correction on the, well, we haven't got there yet.
I know, but it's wrong in your posting, so you need to, for the agenda. You need to make the correction for the agenda.
What is
The minute says, what is the problem? August 27th.
September.
Should
Should be September.
Okay,
Anybody to
I didn't either.
two corrections?
so September 27th is when the Port Authority Board meets.
October 9th. October 9th. And the minutes had the wrong date on it.
Okay, they're in the wrong date on the minute.
Yes. Okay, but then changes, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Thanks, Randy, I didn't see that.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for September 27th.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Alright.
With meetings attended, please.
We had an ambulance board meeting. We went over the list of equipment that everybody has and the dates and the mileage of the vehicles and whatnot. So I'm gonna put that together on a spreadsheet. We agreed to have a meeting every month for about the first 6 months. And then after that, we're gonna go quarterly. If quarterly is too long, we'll go back to monthly, but I think that will work for now. We then went over the list of acceptable expenses. And had a lot of discussion on that. The 3 ambulance entities have turned in their monthly expenses and they were presented. I checked them over and I presented them to the auditor for payment. So we're on that cycle now. We talked about having them turned in by the 25th of the month. But I think we're gonna move it to the 1st because of the way that our billing cycles are our what am I trying to say? The way the claims roll, that way they'll be being paid a little more timely than they would on the 25th. They'd be waiting like 3 weeks if we did the 25th, and where the first of the month they'd only be waiting a week or so. So everything went well. Nobody was mad, or we didn't have any fights or black eyes, so
Good start.
yeah, it's a good it's a good start. And then I went over the roofing stuff, but we'll talk about that later on here in the meeting. That's all I have.
I have nothing. We on the Louisa transfer, we seek and I think Joe's gonna meet with him this week, but we're seek counsel for just to have for if anything ever comes up at the Louisa transfer. So we're just gonna have somebody that's there. We're gonna use Mr. Parsons over at Conjunction. He's been in front of us on several subdivisions, so he accepted to do it, so we're gonna get that going. Worked on that last week. We had talked to, like I said, about that October 9th meeting, starting to kick off. On the trying to get maybe some fundings and start looking at stuff to bring businesses to our area. And the Port Authority, it's been reading about it. It's powerful. There's opportunities to bring businesses into our areas, and with businesses would bring people. So we're gonna kick that off on the 9th. Talked to several different ones about it, and Southeastern Regional Planning. So yeah, there's a lot of great opportunities, I think, for that in the future. LP Tank, I talked to them yesterday. They're getting some bids together to get for they bring in Tortoise. Justin said he's working on that, so just to get that out before I forget to bring it up.
It's good.
Other than that, I think that's, I know there's another one, but I think that's,
So are they sucking it down and then doing the piping?
it's probably gonna have to be emptied. They said even where Tracy made it better, but they just put stuff on the outside of it. They're talking that one might have to come all the way out.
So we're gonna temporarily hook up to a different tank? Cause we're gonna start the heat up here pretty soon.
The last time they brought a portable, Boys Flame was, and they brought a portable one.
Yeah, and they probably have something in place for this, because it's
Okay.
not gonna be a one-day fix. It's so. But
Well,
I hate to think how much we're leaking.
speaking of the heating system, we did have it inspected and there's still a zone problem. Did you see that part of the email? So remember we had the zone problem where it was really super hot in the kitchen and it was freezing to death over
Conservation.
whatever.
Yeah.
Do we have any idea what we gotta do to rectify that issue?
I thought we had that last issue taken care of, so this must be
Well,
something.
I thought so too, but according to email that I saw yesterday, they thought there was still gonna be a zone issue.
I had overheard something about us, the switches at each one of the units needed to be switched out. And that would possibly fix the problem. But we would need to talk to.
Okay.
Selena.
They're pneumatic right now. If we went to electronic, that's the answer, but it was quite a bit of money. But even if we could do a electronic valve to them. I don't know how else the guy could do that, but
Let me make a phone call and see what can happen.
who sent you that?
Selena sent it to me. Brent Miller went down, I guess, and did the yearly inspection. And everything checked out great.
Yeah.
Except they said they thought there was gonna still be a zone problem. And that email came from Brandon.
See, I don't think I see.
Apparently Brandon had talked to him while they were there.
You must be the only one copied on, because I don't see it. I didn't see it.
Well, they were supposed to call ahead and they didn't. And I think Brandon, because Tracy was gonna meet him out there. But they didn't get it, but Brandon met with them and they still acted like they might be a zone problem. So, okay.
No knowledge, I didn't have a clue that was the.
Let me follow up on that since you guys are kind of getting down on your time here and I'll stay with it.
Still working.
Yeah.
Ain't going anywhere.
Is this Board of Health employee just working as needed or something?
No, that's the new one that took over the one that left.
Last, right.
Yeah, that's
But-
the new employee.
Usually it's a hourly rate or
I don't know.
it's kind of different.
I'll ask Leah. I don't know that answer. That was one that
I'm
came.
gonna have you go ahead and speak before we get to public input.
So I'm here for, well, I was gonna talk about Port Authority and then also about I'm here to meet with May Hinton and Lori Elam, and they come down to talk about the mental health also. So. So the Port Authority are, Jeff Swartz and I kind of dealt with that pretty heavily, trying to get that to work, so we appreciate you guys signing on to join us on that group. It's not just about the river, it includes railroad and also and highways. So it's trying to help to help drive federal funding for some of our other issues, you know, to try to, you know, at some point, I'm sure that you guys wanna get this 4 lane, up for the rest of the way down, and then, you know, and then work along, you know, you got Oakville, it's not too far off the Iowa River and stuff, and I know they used to do some stuff out there, and not real familiar with down in that area. But, you know, they accumulate all of the tonnage for the entire area, so from Dubuque all the way down to Louisa County will all be accounted for when we go for grants. I'll just tell you, Jackson County was kind of like, we're not gonna get anything, we don't have anything on the river, well, they have Bellevue. And Bellevue, just because we got this kind of started, it looks as a pretty good chance that Bellevue is gonna be included into a project. To do some dredging around their riverfront stuff there that they likely would not have gotten if they weren't part of the port, so. There's just other opportunities as being a port, and then with the amount of tonnage from the entire area, that all falls into it, so we'll be in the top 50 ports in the nation. With this, it's because of the accumulation of the tonnage for everybody, so. We're gonna be joining kind of like the Corn Belt Port Authority, and they are south of us, so they have, so Des Moines County on down to Lee County on the Iowa side, and then they have, the counties on the Illinois side are part of it, and I think there's even some counties that are down in Missouri. So they have the Corn Belt, Port Authority. So that's gonna be the kind of, so it'll be kind of like, we'll be kind of joining that, so it'll help. It'll be kind of a larger thing on the end, but we're still gonna remain at east, ports of eastern Iowa. At some point, you know, we're talking about, there might be a possibility if the Illinois side, if they're gonna create their own port, if they would wanna join us, then we may do a name change at that time. You know, Brad, you were really involved when we first organized we did the Iowa Workforce Development, and went through that Iowa process. So Jeff and I have been talking about, we kind of want to see that to be the oversight of kind of a similar structure. Per se is we'll have a supervisor from each county. Is going to kind of help get it up and started. And then eventually we want to have business leaders and some of the city mayors and stuff involved on the other side. So that way, you know, they have some buy-in, you know, for their local economy, what's happening for them. But then the business leaders, you know, from Clinton County, you know, where Clinton's been trying to do their own port authority for probably, you know, for about 4 to 5 years now. And they just couldn't get traction because they just didn't have, number one, they haven't had enough tonnage locally. And it was just, they needed state legislation to pass to be able to be recognized as a port. But with this, because of the amount of tonnage that we have combined, we don't need the state legislators to be involved. We're able to do it on our own. There's not supposed to be any dollars from local taxpayers to get this involved. There's just some time for supervisors to get involved. So that's kind of our main goal.
Well, with Muscatine and Louisa, they're going from 3 CSX trains a day to up to 20. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to maybe capture some of that freight and see if we can get something else going. So it's a good deal.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming down. You're gonna talk a little later.
Yep. So.
Okay, other public input? Payroll changes, I handed them out, everybody's seen them already. Let's move right into here's the bids. Don, you want to go ahead and you want to look at these while you do it?
I got copies of them.
Okay.
You can, if you want to follow along, I went through all these. A little confusing. Most of them had just sealing or sealing and reflashing. Each one of them did it a little differently. If we do the flashing part of it, it's a lot of these bids are approaching $10,000 in the ceiling. If we do just the ceiling part of it, it's around 4,000. Upon some thought, I guess the roof without the flashing wasn't leaking before until the sealant went bad. So I guess my recommendation at this point is just to go ahead and clean it let's reseal it and see what happens. If for some reason it doesn't work, then I guess the next step would be to go and do some reflashing, but. If you're gonna go down that path. TK roofing was a low bid at $3,900. The next one was just a little over $4,000, so they're kind of competitive in that regard, so. Based on our financial situation, I guess I would say let's go ahead and just reseal it and see what happens. But I'm open for suggestions.
Was there any Louisa County bidders?
No,
Burlington's.
Ely, Bloomfield, Burlington, and Monroe. I did have a local contractor that had indicated some, but he was busy doing other things and didn't get a bid submitted, so.
Chris is looking at the T&K right now.
But if you're doing just the ceiling part of it, the next low bidder was Hawkeye, and I think they were at 4,600, so. $700 more. And then the other ones had flashing and they were
Around 9.
8, 9.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's T&K's terms for upfront money?
I didn't see anything on there that showed anything for upfront money on Team K roofing. It was basically they'll do it and then you pay them. From what I could read.
That's what it should be.
Yeah, that's the way I saw it. The other ones, some of them were half down, half. I did get contacted by Wapple School District that had some work done by T&K, and they did have a couple of issues with them. But they felt that some of it was weather related, it wasn't necessarily their fault, so. Just wanted me to be
Good to
aware
know.
of that, yeah. Hopefully we can get this done, but long before the weather gets too ugly.
Any thoughts, Chris?
You know, the most expensive one without flashing in Burlington is the closest one we get.
Yeah.
I'll take a motion whenever you're ready.
I'll make the motion to have T&K roofing do resealing of the roof, jail roof for $3,900.
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion. Money will come out of the lost, correct? Because there's nothing in the budget set up for that, so. Right?
Right.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Is the auditor's office gonna contact them? Do you want me to contact them? How do you want to do that?
If you wanna go ahead and contact them, so that way if there is any discussion.
Questions?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll call them later today. Hopefully that fixes the issue. I'll try to get a date on when they can get started too.
Hey Becky, was you here on number 8?
I was just here for number 11, because I was served a notice
Oh,
of condemnation by the sheriff's office because Louisa County Treasurer was listed as a lien holder, but we don't have a county tax sale on any of the properties, so I'm just here because I was served the notice to see if you need me for anything.
Okay.
I don't really know why I was served the notice, but I talked to Adam about it and he didn't either, so. But I'm here, just in case. But if you have a question for me on number 8 that I can answer, I don't know that I can, I'll try.
And we do know Adam coming to work.
Like the roads department about more rock, huh?
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
Single page. Has that. That's all it is.
What is this Nyhart report?
No, I'm not really up on that myself.
It's a report that's required by law that we have to. Something with benefits, and I know Selena knows more about that, but it's required by law. Gets some very specific to the health benefits.
We play what they do, and we supply them all the information and they're not liable. Well, that's all they have, a perfect contract. For everybody but us.
Nyhart manages the retirement plan. Don't they?
Isn't that what I do? Okay, now the whole wording makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's what they do is Nyhart is the retirement plan management system. According to the bios on here anyway. Yeah, they do the pensions and healthcare actuaries. Let's see. Manages at large. Retirement accounts. They take care of the health savings accounts.
Now all that wording makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
No.
Yeah, it's. Oh, but she just must have forgot it now.
Yeah.
We can do, while you're looking at that, we can do that, October 9th meeting, with signing that supervisor I'll represent. For the end of the year. Take that motion from 12 that we added.
I'll make the motion to appoint Brad to the Port Authority Board.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed, okay. John, you got any questions about that matter? No.
Is this a 1-year contract?
Yeah.
Says for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024.
Yeah, it's all the information from last year. You have to report it to the.
Okay. You want a motion? Have we done this contract in the past, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Well, good morning.
Hey.
Hi, sorry about that.
No, thank you.
Yeah, you guys have a day.
You too.
Brad, you want a motion on this?
Would you please?
Make a motion to approve Nyhart's agreement. The fee is $1,300.
I'll second that.
Okay, I got a motion second. Any other questions, discussion? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you. Hello? Tell how old by the ringtone.
What?
Tell how old by the ringtone.
Yeah. I took it off the walls.
Busted the crank all. Good job.
Happens to Republicans, you have to answer it.
Good. Okay. Good. Okay, and his eye? No. Fix it all.
Well, you said 10.
Right, and then we got lines and the other appointments, so. I know, it's all there. Think we'll get ahead a little bit, but it was 316,403.67. Okay. Thank you. That's a lot of rocking.
There's things on it. Well, those wood prices are up, that's probably one truckload.
Good morning, Adam. Morning. How you doing today? All right, how do you? Yeah. Hello, everybody. And just in time. You ready to get started this morning?
I suppose. The one item I had was the approval of the resolution. This would allow me to enter into an agreement on behalf of the county for a grant to purchase a spray setup for our roadside program. Currently we have a old F-450 diesel, and we have a tank in the back, and basically when we spray, we have a guy reaching his arm out the window, and he sprays the ditches for teasel and brush and things like that. We do about a third of the county every year, so you know, we have about 600 miles, so they spray about 200 miles a year. It takes them a couple of months to do. It's done by our technicians, staff. You know, obviously there's problems with the guy reaching his arm out the window and just spraying. One is a hand injuries, carpal tunnel. I've received complaints about that. The other possibility of blowback, blowback chemicals. You know, we always try to spray in the morning when the wind is down, but there's a chance they can get blown back in the cab. This setup that we're going to get, it has inside the truck, it has sprays and nozzles, or buttons that control the sprays and nozzles outside, and it can spray low, high, or far, whatever. It's something most other counties have. We're probably the only ones still stuck with system from the 80s, so. The spray nozzles setup and all that, and the computer and all that is about a little under $20,000 or so. The grant is for 15,000 of that. So next budget year we will put the truck and this all on that budget. We would pay it and get it back. So, you know, it's something that we've talked about a bunch and just haven't had the chance to get after. So. I also think that having the system would allow us to be a little more efficient, that we could probably get a little bit more done. The tank on the truck would be bigger, so we could cover more ground, I think, so. Next year, we're gonna have some paving projects and potentially a bridge project, and so. Being able to get the amount of work done that we want to with less guys would be helpful. As you recall, we used to contract this work out, and well, we did our own noxious weed spraying when we did all our own bridge spraying, but brush spraying was contracted out. 2023, the estimate was 52,000, probably in the 60s now. We're using our own staff to do this and saving some money that way, so. I guess, any questions about what we do now or what we're doing in the future or anything like that?
I understand what you do. What size tank is on that?
Well, current one is 200, the new one will be 500 gallons. You know, we might not fill it up all, you know, that's.
Is enough for
4,500 pounds.
probably you have.
No, we look at it at 550.
650, yeah.
Yeah, so, but, you know, if we got that truck, we could also use it for.
Yeah.
Plowing snow, because we're gonna get some extra miles of 61. We've also got a tar kettle that we pull around, running pipes and equipment and stuff like that. It wouldn't be somebody's to drive there every day. It'd be a utility piece of equipment. Plus, we'll probably put in for a skid loader at some point. It'd be nice to have something to be able to pull that around. So really nothing we do, just use, so.
You guys got any questions? You seen the paperwork?
Seen the paperwork. I'll make a motion to approve resolution 202435 for project 90-58- LR 25-217 for this grant for roadway sprayer, right of way sprayer.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Motion.
Yeah. Other than that, we have a busy week, the crews are out patching, asphalt and concrete spots, the rest of the week. Got that going on, tonight is the DOT meeting there, and we kind of talked about that last week. Any questions about any of that, or?
Yeah.
Okay. So Justin is gonna go up to Johnson, I believe, for the roadside vegetation course. He's gonna learn about the new things in roadside vegetation management. I kind of broken it up, so Justin goes to the fall ones and Mike goes to the spring ones, which is more of the weed commissioner stuff. So Mike goes and learns about the noxious weeds and things like that, and Justin goes and kind of looks at the management side of things, so. Got that going on, Thursday at a DOT meeting up on the 92 for project. Sounds like they're getting ready to get paving, which is already a week or two behind what they said last time. Obviously, we're getting closer to weather on the back end of things, so. The meeting's on Thursday, which I can make, versus a 9 AM one on Tuesday, which I can't make, so got that going on. Always doing more mowing and brush clearing and blading and things like that, so it's been dry. We've got a lot of, not a lot, but we are getting some complaints about washboards and dust and stuff like that. You can blade, but not a whole heck of a lot once it's dry, so. Any questions for me? Anything going on out there?
So Steve bought some rock.
Yeah.
Truck or two.
Yeah, is that the rock for? Is that through River Products or is that through?
I think it's for Supervisors.
So. Yeah, we buy about $850 to $900,000 worth a year, so. Actually, I think like here pretty soon. We should be getting the bill for the Nelson rock that we buy every year, so.
Wow.
Mhm.
You didn't have to purchase any salt, did you?
I
I
was-
asked that the other day, I thought we had enough, and
No, we're pretty much full in capacity,
Mhm.
so. Here at the end of the month, we'll be at sand and mixing it, and then that'll just have to go out in the yard, because
gotcha.
I don't have it covered for that, but. We bought an F-150 from Meister for Perry's, his had about 100,000 on it, so. That's in, we're gonna get it outfitted with lights and all those kind of things here next week, so. We also purchased our F-550 that is the truck is currently up in Garner. Up at Iowa Mold and Tool, getting the crane and all that for the sign truck on there, so. So that's happening, we should get that truck back end of October or something, so.
Be here before you know it.
Yeah, it's really. Catching up with us here sometimes, and here in a month or two will be. Looking at winter, so.
Yeah.
Any updates on 61 or?
They actually canceled the meeting last week. I think they're just moving dirt and nothing really that affects us for now. Progress is happening, you know.
Yeah, they also went ahead and opened up another next year's bid, they're doing dirt for next year's already, so.
So there, yeah, so the bridge over 78 has been let. And I'm guessing we'll see some work on it, you know, at some point here, so. Progress, I guess, you know, every time I go down there, I think it, you know, it's a pain, but once it's done, it'll be straighter, and you won't have those edge ruts, and you won't have just the problems of it, so.
They set up any paving facilities yet for 92?
Yes, it's actually in the sand plant there. So,
Good sign.
yep, so.
I knew it was gonna go there, but I didn't know if they said anything.
Yeah. So,
That means we're gonna have some paving within a week or so.
yeah, hopefully.
Get that.
I have received some more complaints about the X-17 edge driving. I actually reminded the manager at the DOT about it today, so we're just not a lot I can do on their road except complain, so.
Squeaky wheel. That, for that next phase, next year, is there anything we need to prep on the road, some of the roads that's had the high usage for preparation of next year's bypass?
We've gotten everything north of 92 dust control sprayed. So that's good. I've been requested by locals for some on the south. I did go ahead and do a little bit, and the county's just gonna have to pay for it ourselves, because I've asked, and DOT is not going to pay for any dust control south of 92 until next year, so.
Send them a bill.
So, anyway, that's what I know. It's again, one of those things, when it's done, it'll be nice. It's just gonna be a pain and until we get it, you know, I have some real concerns about when this detour happens, you know, the amount of traffic going through Columbus City and Junction and using other routes and all that.
Downtown's gonna be a mess.
But again, that's outside of my jurisdiction. They agreed to it. There was no asking me what I thought, so, which is odd, but it's what it is.
Cause that'll be here soon when we think of it.
Yeah, so.
Anything else? You got a handle. Anybody else got any questions? Thanks, Adam.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Hey Brad, can I have the claims?
Yeah, sure. Kind of think about what you was talking about.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. 15, and we got 9:30. There was two copies to sign here. I went and signed this. First case.
Because he's gonna have to take an original again and we.
I thought that done. I figured something. So.
Yeah.
Because it's your names on a few of these documents, so.
Yeah, okay. I got certain same papers.
We'll have to make it a comment.
Oh, thank God at the beginning.
Thank you.
Well, now you can go sit over there. Or go to the dealer.
Next year you sit over there. We used to have it posted. On something like that. Did you find it? Sure. Thank you.
For the month.
I went through the claims. I'll make a motion on the claims if you want. I'll make a motion to approve the claims. Let's see a date on it. 9/27
Be today.
today, yeah. For an amount of $316,403.67.
I'll second that. Any discussion, questions? If not, all in favor?
I
Yes, thank you.
So we got 2 items left.
Yeah.
That's one of them, where the, yeah. Okay. Okay. Bye.
Oh, thank you. Anybody else? Come on in.
Hi there.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Come on back and have a seat.
Great, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Hey, how are you?
Right on time.
Who's on recordings?
Which one's May and which one's Lori?
So good morning, I'm May Hinchin.
Okay,
Yeah, are you ready for us?
I am ready.
Oh, great,
Yeah.
great.
And Lori Elam.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So, yeah, good morning, thanks for having us.
Thanks.
So as I said, I'm May Hinchin and I am the CEO of the Mental Health and Disability Services of the East Central Region. So right now, the Mental Health and Disability Services regions that you're familiar with, the East Central Region is 9 counties. We are actually the largest region in the state population wise. Benton, Bremer, Buchanan, Delaware, Dubuque, Iowa, Jones, Johnson, and Lynn counties. And Lori, go ahead and talk about your region.
Yes, I am the CEO of the Eastern Iowa MHDS region. That is 5 counties: Scott, Clinton, Cedar, Jackson, and Muscatine County. Kind of the nose of Iowa, so. We have a population a little over 300,000.
Our population is 608, I think, right now. So, as you know, in January, the governor announced in her condition of the state address that she would like to realign the behavioral health services system, the MHDS system, into the behavioral health services system, and announced, right, the reduction in the number of MHDS regions from at that time 13 and 19 substance use areas to 7 behavioral health districts. A lot of things have happened since the governor's condition of the state address. Of course, the legislature passed the bill, House File 2673, that enacted all of the governor's vision and the Department of Health and Human Services vision. That bill was signed on May 15th, and it was effective upon enactment. So here we go, right? On May 15th, we got to work. So HHS released, and I'm sure that Ryan has shared all of this with you, but HHS released a transition plan on July 1st that gave us some deadlines and some timelines for this transition. The first most important one being that a new map would be released on August 1st. That was in the legislation as well. So the map came out indeed on August 1st, and we were all very surprised. So I don't know if you all saw that there were 3 other versions of the map that had been circulating, and none of them looked like this. So we immediately, that morning, within about 5 minutes of the map being released, we started working together. So we knew that it was really kind of going to be a partnership between the East Central region and the Eastern Iowa region. And the East Central region, we lose 3 counties in this map. We lose Benton, Iowa, and Bremer counties. And then, of course, this District 7 picks up Blackhawk and Des Moines and Louisa counties. And I think it's probably been about 5 or 6 weeks that Lori and I have been trying to get down here, to work it out on our calendars. We've had a lot of meetings in the last 8 weeks, and just trying to work it out so that we could get everywhere and to meet people and just say, all right, this is the map that was given to us. Maybe not the map that we all would have chosen, but this is the map that was given to us, and how do we best move forward as partners. And so we wanted to come down and introduce ourselves, ask you some questions about, what are you looking for a partnership with the Administrative Services Organization, and how can we help? So we have already submitted the letter of intent to apply to be the Administrative Services Organization for District 7. So that official application went in 2 weeks ago, a little over 2 weeks ago. And the proposals are due October 18th. So that's a little over 2 weeks from now, it feels like. Yeah, a little over 2 weeks, today's August 1st, or October 1st. Yeah, right, and then HHS will invite viable applicants, maybe is the word, finalists, I'm not sure is the word, to do bidders presentations on November 20th and 21st. And then they will announce the Administrative Services Organization on December 30th. So we know that we have from January until June to transition.
Right.
So if we're selected as the ASO, we'll be here a lot more and we'll be meeting with you and the stakeholders in Louisa County and saying how do we help this transition from you away from Mahassey and into District 7, and what do we need to do in order to make sure that services continue here in Louisa County. One of our biggest concerns is contract authority. Right, that the ASO, whether it's us or someone else is named as the ASO, that they have that contract authority in place. So that when the world changes on July 1st of 2025, that people can continue to still receive services.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of how the Iowa workforce, the whole change and basically redistricting, and we was involved in that quite a bit, Jim and I. Now, is there gonna be CEOs on this, just like the workforce, or are you getting away from that where you have county supervisors represent, or how do you do that?
Great question. So we had last week a joint board retreat between the Eastern Iowa region and the East Central region, and none of the three of you would serve on the Mahassey Regional Governing Board. We invited governing board representatives. So we had a long talk about that, because the law allows for two types of entities to apply. Number one is an MHDS region that was in effect as of June 30th of this year. Number two is a private nonprofit. We submitted as an MHDS region, so essentially as a 2080 agreement. The consensus of all of the supervisors and the counties that we're working with in these 14 counties is that we would like to remain a 2080 agreement, unless we're directed otherwise. So to that end, right, we have to have some governance. The law in Iowa states a 2080 has to have representation by the governmental organizations that are party to the 2080. What that looks like, we haven't decided.
Okay.
We don't know that having a 14 member board of just supervisors is the right answer. So if there's some rotational representation or what that looks like, but we're figuring that out. And should we be named the Administrative Services Organization, we'll have a lot more communication about that.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I just want to make a comment. So I went out to the retreat last week and I was really I jumped on board. I didn't know where I sat on this. I'm hoping that we are able to do it. And that way we still have some local control and local say. If Unity Points are the other four Unity Points, Unity Point, Iowa Primary Care Association, and Elevate Housing Foundation. Those are the other top bidders on our, someone in our area. We're likely not going to have anybody sitting at the table. We will have somebody, because it's right in the governance, you have to have so many elected officials, but it's not particularly the supervisor. It can be the mayor, it can be a council member, it can be the sheriff, it can be any elected official that resides within that region. So that's why I'm here, just to kind of advocate. So we're looking to try to drum up support from each county. That's gonna be part of the new district, I guess we'll say. That's why I came down. I just feel that we want to have say for years, it was kind of up to the counties. And supervisors were involved, and we had our own, own people working in technical health. And then in 2014, I went to Mountain Health Regions. And again, we saw supervisors involved in this conversation, sitting at the board tables for your Mountain Health Regions. Now they've kind of changed the game on us. But everybody still knows that if you need something done, you know, that they're reaching out to this, you know, most of the issues I have are jail, right, in our local areas. So they're hitting the sheriffs and hitting the county supervisors, so that if there's an issue, they can't get resolved. I guess that's why I think that this is.
Yeah, and I agree with you, because it seems like the counties are losing more and it's by the state, so there's gonna be a governing board from the state, it sounds like on this too.
So the bill calls for an advisory council. And that advisory council is dictated, that 3 elected officials that Supervisor Irwin was just talking about, but that's advisory in nature.
Right,
The bill does not direct the ASO's governance structure because nonprofits are allowed and nonprofits governance structure is dictated by federal law. So Iowa was like, we're not going there. And so they didn't put that into the law. However, because an MHDS region is an allowable entity to apply, and we are governed by 2080, we know the 2080 law in Iowa, in which we would have to establish a governance board with representation from the counties.
and with that 2080 agreement, would the counties still be, say if there was a misspending? Would the county still be responsible without representation, making up that misspending?
It's all state money.
Yep, it's all state money,
But the governance on it, sometimes a 2080 will supersede that.
right?
Yeah, because we're liable for the Wyoa process for Mississippi Valley, we're all liable for the federal also within this.
And that had the same thing, that's state ran and the counties are still responsible.
And that's why as a 2080 agreement, we would have the liability insurance.
Okay.
So we already have that as a region,
Yeah.
through the Iowa Community Assurances Pool, so does the Eastern Iowa region, that to protect our counties.
And I know the generation coming in, supervisors don't want as many meetings, I see that happening a lot and here in the state. But we still gotta have local input, and that's somehow we gotta keep that.
One of the supervisors at our retreat last week talked about the state is changing the game, so to speak, as far as its state funding and the rules are dictated, you know, those types of things. But as county supervisors, you know that in your public health, community health assessment, right? Mental health is probably named as one of the top 3, that you still, as elected officials, have an interest and then a responsibility to say, we want to make sure that the needs of the folks in our counties are met.
Right.
And so that is motivation. It was talked about last week as motivation for counties to still be involved and to, you know, for us to do the 2080 agreement in order to keep that involvement in that local relationship.
And we should have probably more than the state, have more of a pulse, finger on the pulse, say, than the state would have.
Absolutely.
And it seems like the state are wanting more and more responsibility with less and less interaction. So, I don't know, it's,
Well, locally here, we have, Hillcrest has a presence in this town, which is a contractor, which we had through Southeast Iowa Link.
Yep.
What concerns me is we're a 11,000 person county in a $1 million population area. We're definitely the small potato. Well, crisis intervention is another, I think, very important part of what we do out at the jail. Do you think we'll still have the same services 2 years from now that we had a year ago?
I'd love that question. I really, really do. First of all, and this is something that we've talked about a lot in the last 2 months. Lori and I both have experience in our regions with urban counties and rural counties. We're used to that, and we have in the East Central region, we have a strategic plan that says we have equitable services, right? Across our region to make sure that we've pushed out services to more rural counties. The other part is, I've said this since the governor's condition of the state address, that I hope what we consider our floor doesn't become the ceiling. We've done a lot of service development in the East Central region that we're really proud of, and we want to be able to continue that. And I was a little bit worried when the RFP came out. I was like, are we gonna be limited? Are we gonna have to dial back from the things that we've done?
Well, that's what's worried me when I was on the link board.
And I don't feel like the RFP asks that of us at all. And I was actually just on the phone with one of my staff while I was driving into town, and she said, again, we want our floor. We don't want our floor to be the new ceiling. We want a new ceiling, and we want to keep continuing to develop services. And so by golly, if we have a seat at the table, if we're named the ASO, those are the things that I advocate for.
Well, and then like with the Link Advisory Board, there's more providers. There's as many providers as elected officials as public.
Right.
That always is kind of letting the kids in the candy store. a little bit.
Probably had a discussion about that as we think about what
Well-
representative board for in the 2080 agreement will look like.
Maybe it should be end users, which would used to be on the advisory board, that was seeing the service they were or weren't getting, or how it could be perfected better,
Totally agree.
you know.
See, I see a benefit to going with the big boys, with bigger counties is because the Iowa workforce has worked to our favor to have like Lee County and stuff like that that had high unemployment. I hate to see that happen, but it also brings more revenue into our area. And with the numbers on there, you're gonna have more dollars to serve the people of these, was there 11 counties or 14 counties?
And I forgot to say at the very beginning, I live in Dubuque. I'm from Dubuque. Laura is from Scott County. Very familiar with Hillcrest and their services, right? So it's a continuation of contract as far as I'm concerned. So it wouldn't be, you know, a disjunction if we are named the ASO, because it's a provider that my contracting staff is very familiar with, and we already have a contract with them, so.
Well, yeah, the provider pool has really shrunk in the last 10 years. Is another sad part about mental health.
Jim, you got a question?
Well, I just want to comment, so, Christine made a comment, about being size, right, 11,000 population, 11,000, and now this is gonna have Scott County, Dubuque County, Johnson County, and Lynn County involved, we're about 46,000 population in Clinton County, and we didn't want to feel left out either. Meeting with May and meeting with her board last week, was eye-opening. We were a little fortunate in Eastern Iowa that we had 5 counties, and all 5 counties had a representative sitting on the board. Well, East Central, they had a formula that, was it 3 and 2?
Just 3 rotate off at a time, because we have 9 counties and we can only have 6 members on the board.
And it was based on, so basically, there was only 2, so either Dubuque or Lynn or Johnson, 2 out of those 3 were on the board, and then the other ones were made up by the lower populated counties. And, talking with the supervisors out there, they were saying that at times we felt like, we could get, the Lynn and Johnson could get voted down on something that they really needed for their area, but they said they all looked at it. So, that's just communication, right? That's just good communication between the supervisors and making the right call in the area. So I've been really happy with the direction we're taking, that we're wanting to go. Again, it's not gonna be up to us, we just have to put our best foot forward and hopefully we're able to win the ASO and have that contract. Again, I just like to have that local control and I don't know what we're gonna do at any point or somebody else gets it, so.
Excellent.
What are you looking for? What are you looking for in a partner? How can we help? I mean, what are some of the needs here, and like, what can we do to help?
Well, I have 2 questions.
Okay.
One question would be, out of these 7 districts, 5 of the 7, the population is 300,000 or less. Ours is over 1 million. What's the services look like for the District 7 over population over 1 million compared to the one that's 250,000? What is more? Are there more services?
There are. With our populations, with 600,000 and 300,000, both of our regions, we've really been able to develop services and push them out, to the other counties. And I just think we're resource rich. We've always said that in the East Central region, because we have Lynn County, we have Johnson County, we have Dubuque County. We're very resource rich, and we take advantage of that.
Okay.
And to make sure, and I have done in the last 4 years, just to be really brutally honest, a lot of financial incentive to providers. I really believe very strongly in startup. And so we have offered startup funding to providers to go to other counties because I know that Medicaid reimbursement rates are not enough. And so we fund the startup, because I don't ever want to ask a provider to start up a new service, whether it's in a big county or a smaller county, and start behind the 8 ball. And so I want to take care of them while they're starting up the service, so that then their Medicaid rates, even though they're inadequate, but they have less of a hole to get out of when they start up a service. So that's been one of our strategies.
There is an individual locally that wants to start mental health office. How do I get information to her from you to get that part of that? Is that possible?
It's 100% possible if we're named the ASO. Right, and what I would do right away is have, and Lori and I, we had a joint meeting of our staff yesterday. And we went through, we have a table of organization about what that looks like. We have a really good plan, we think, for contracting that is geographically based.
Okay.
So that we would have a person who's responsible for this area of District 7 to get
Okay.
those contracts in place.
Okay. Do you have Carter contacted it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll get
Do
that
before I
to
do.
her. Yeah.
In this area, how many psychiatrists and psychologists do you look to be available when you get so set up?
Great question.
Cause being in the old one, that was a very struggle
Sure.
in the old southeast Iowa Lake region.
We again have the privilege of having the University of Iowa in our backyard, and try to take advantage of that as much as we can. To be really honest, on those county data sheets that HHS released, I think there were 6 or 7 counties in Iowa who did not have a shortage of mental health providers. And Lynn and Johnson were 2 of those 6. So, I mean, like I said, we're resource rich. And so those are the types of things, again, we incentivize. We pay for, and if we're allowed, we're named the ASO and we're allowed to continue to do it. We pay for prescribers, whether it's a psychiatrist or a nurse practitioner who does psychiatry. We pay their loans, their student loans. We give them an incentive every year for 3 years to help pay their debt and to work in our smaller area. So, things like that incentivize. We also really support telehealth.
Just.
Yeah.
They can.
Yeah. Our region pays for the master's supervision in our mental health centers for folks, so they get the experience, then they can become the therapist. And so again, it's the creativity. How do we attract people? How do we keep them in our region? So
there's also a program at Drake University that's called a psychopharmacology program, and doctors level psychologists in Iowa. There's a law that allows them to go through a psychopharmacology program. It's a 2-year program to become prescribers. So you don't have to be an MD, you can be a psychologist and become a prescriber. And we offer 2 scholarships a year for people to go through that program. We paid Drake to set it up. We gave them startup funds for it. And then we pay for 2 people a year to go through that, and we make them sign a contract that they will practice then in our region right now for 2 years. So it's a hook. Yeah, it's a hook.
You gotta do that.
Yeah.
Great state of Iowa needs more professionals.
When does this go into effect?
So the MHDS regions will sunset. We will cease to exist on June 30th of 2025, and the administrative services organizations will be responsible for the services on July 1st, 2025. So we have a significant transition period. I don't mean significant as far as long, I mean significant as far as a lot of work to do,
Yeah.
right? Because Louisa County, you'll be transitioning from one level of governance to another.
Right.
And so, like I said, if we're named the ASO, you'll see Lori and I a lot more in that second half here of the fiscal year.
So if you need some, I think Chris was on that before, he'll probably stay on that, and we're both leaving at the end of the year, but if you do need some help and get the county representation, let us know.
Okay.
We'll get you something.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Well, appreciate you guys taking time, come down here and explain that, and I think I'm looking forward to it, because I think this group is gonna be a great group to work with, so.
thank you for
We
your
hope so.
time.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with everything.
Thanks for all coming down. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sure.
You think the public health district part is gonna follow along with this?
I'm not gonna speculate on the government plan. But that has been.
Everything is up for grabs.
Yeah.
Most of it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Have a safe trip back home.
Thank you. You bet.
Take care, buddy. Yep, I'll see you.
Thank you.
Okay, this next one, I'm gonna recuse myself from even being part of the discussion. I might even just jump up and leave.
This is right down the area.
Right, I've been serving the same papers the county guys.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Adam, sorry I'm running just a little late.
No, that's
I
fine.
apologize for that. Would you go ahead and get started, Adam, please?
Yeah, so, the county was served with an application for condemnation, I think, because for the taxing entity. Involving a, easement request from, Richard Kimmerman, from, John Schultz. A trust and, William Poggemiller. An additional trust.
I'd like to table this. I never got a notice on this. Schultz is out of the state. I don't know what this is coming up and I don't know what this is amounting to. But I think it's very unprofessional that you bring this up and never notified the other party at all. Or either party. I'm not sure what this is about. I mean, he can finish naturally, but to make a decision on something like this, but this is what got us in trouble the first time, is nobody get notified or anything like that.
I don't know anything about that part, but I think, isn't this just informational?
No, I need some action. So we were served with this, I think, as a taxing entity. We were not a named party. The named parties are, property owners Richard Timmerman and Luann Timmerman and JEB Farms, LLC. Phil Parsons is representing the Timmermans, and I believe Jay Schweitzer's office is representing JEB Farms. First, I didn't think the county needed to do anything because we're not a named party. However, I was contacted by Phil Parsons, and while he was going through the legal description of the area to be condemned, part of it is owned by Louisa County. So we should have been named. We should have gotten notice of that, and we didn't. And so we now have an opportunity to intervene in the property under that easement agreement across, and I need some direction on whether we should do that or not.
So on, Bill Poggemiller's, comment, does that need to be? It's like I said, we didn't know it was even on here till the agenda came out, but does this need to be sent out for all notification for all parties?
Yes, they should have sent us a copy with us named as.
And all other parties also too.
Yeah, they sent one to temporary.
Can I ask another question? Is this a county road you're talking about, or is this FEMA lot you're talking about?
This is lot 6 and block 1, which would be a FEMA lot owned by Louisa County.
I know it's a lot of area down there that's just sitting there and. So where do we?
What, I guess, what is the intention of the county when it comes to lots? We're landlocked. And the county are the ones that landlocked us by selling county land. And now you wanna turn around and say, I'm guessing because you wanna intervene and say, we can't use county land as an easement anymore, that you already sold part of it to a single individual. So I'm not sure what the county wants to get involved in.
What's all involved in this? I don't know.
I
I'm not-
believe that Paul excused himself because he's involved.
Well, I asked him, because his name was on some of the forms, I asked him if he would step aside on this because his name was on some of
Well,
the
it's
paper.
only right that he did, but I'm just saying, you know, this kind of behind the table, under the table kind of stuff is what got us in trouble before. And this is where we're at. $27,000 later, that the county could have went in there, condemned the land that they sold for $1. I'm not, it looks like again, it's under the table stuff that the county's doing.
Well, I'm sure that.
Well, you're part of the county board.
Well, this is because I'm just.
And 1 out of 3 already excused himself on it because he partakes in it and then we got a county supervisor getting involved, but a county. The
Right,
county
exactly.
attorney gets involved, it didn't want nothing to do with this at the beginning. And now all of a sudden, it's a last resort, last ditch effort, it seems to be by Ball and the county. To put a stop to this, it's unreal. We've been landlocked, you can't, Iowa states you can't landlock. And yet you're fighting this over something that the law says you can't do anyhow. You know, I don't care how we get back there, I don't care if we get back there through Ball's cornfield, I don't care whether we go through county land, it doesn't matter, I want access to the property. Schultz wants access, that's all we've been fighting for. We're fighting for something that we've done for 70 years. And all of a sudden the county sells the land from underneath us. And never notified anybody about selling it. So anyway, that's all I have. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna lose it. See you later.
Yeah, see you later.
But I would like to table it if we're gonna do something.
Well, I'm gonna find out.
You
more about
find
it.
out, let me know, will you? Thank you.
Adam, can you go ahead?
And sure, so, I mean, a large portion of that is not true. One, the county, my understanding is I looked this up when the first lawsuit was filed and for a condemnation, and that the county followed the proper procedures, as far as I can tell, when they closed that road, when they acquired the FEMA lots. I can't find any evidence.
Do you remember what year that was?
Before I started here. I
Yeah,
believe.
it's
It's
before
been a long time
any of
ago.
us was on the board.
Yeah, there was no objection to it, it went through, so that's one. Two, the county did its best to avoid getting involved in the last round of lawsuits because the county was not a named party. And the county was, it was not across county lands, at least the named section in the request for name was not across county lands. That's different now, so they essentially made errors in the last go around with the condemnation, and they included in their legal description a portion of land that belongs to JEB Farms LLC, but they didn't serve notice on JEB Farms LLC, just like they didn't serve notice as a party on the county in this case. And so now they're having to go through that process over again, which I understand may be frustrating to them, but it's because of an error on their part. So now the county does have a stake in it because there is an easement potentially next to the existing easement going across this county FEMA lot. I don't have any personal opinion one way or the other of whether the county should object, but if we don't object and we don't object timely, we lose our right to. The concerns are that there are deed restrictions on this FEMA lot. Of course, Mr. Pokemiller does not want us to get involved. He wants us to sit quietly by while the easement goes across the county lot and the other properties. I understand that. That's his position. The other parties want us to get involved because they're objecting to the easement and they want another player in to help them object to the easement. I understand that they have their stake in this fight too. The supervisors are the ones that need to decide if we're going to object. One of the issues that was raised by Phil Parsons, no relation, Jim, is that the deed restrictions could be a problem for an easement going across. I don't think that's the case. I looked at the deed restrictions. Unless they're gonna pave a road across it, it's probably not a deed restriction violation. The things that you can use the land for would include things that would anticipate like a dirt or maybe even gravel road. It does say that if you're gonna make a parking lot or something like that, it's supposed to be unimproved. So that's not a huge concern of mine, but I mean, it's a potential concern. So really what I need is some direction on the county, from the county's part, that being the board, on whether to intervene in this lawsuit, because we have 30 days from the time of service and the parties were served on September 17th. So we have to have our petition on file by October 17th. You have any questions for me?
Well, and I agree, anytime that we have land involved, of course, we should be right there, and I agree. And I don't know, Sean, like I said, I don't know a lot about this. This is something that I haven't been involved in. Sean's probably been involved in it zero. But just I've heard a lot of things brought up over 7 years.
Yeah, it's been very contentious.
Yeah.
There have been many calls for service to our sheriff's office between the parties getting into verbal and physical fights with each other. There have been video recordings of fights that won't be turned over to the sheriff's office, and so our office refused to prosecute.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
Yeah, and I think we have to get involved because it is our lands that we're responsible for, so I don't know.
I have two
What's your
questions.
thoughts?
The first question is, by doing this, does that help or hinder what he's trying to accomplish to get to his property?
If we get involved in the lawsuit and object, that would hinder the easement, which would hinder Mr. Pogemiller's position,
Okay,
which I believe is why he was so upset.
if we do that, does that then put the county on the hook for legal expenses and we get into this turmoil with them?
I mean, potentially, my office would attempt to handle it ourselves, because our stake in this is relatively minimal and the potential loss isn't that great. I think our office.
What do we gain by entering into this?
What we gain by entering into the lawsuit, again, what we gain or lose is very little. What we would potentially lose, the highest stakes thing, the worst possible thing is if it interfered with our deed restriction with FEMA. And they came back on us with some kind of sanction because we violated their deed restriction. I don't think that's going to happen, but I have to put it out there as a possibility. Other than that, it's essentially just a loss of use of this small piece of property that the county is essentially not using anyway.
And what, there's lots of drawings here. Can you direct me to kind of what we're arguing about or what we're discussing? Cause I got exhibit A. I got two papers labeled exhibit A. And one's got two dark lines and one's got a crossed hatched area. I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah, if you can see.
Can you contact FEMA and ask them if that would like contradict their agreement before we like jump headfirst into this? I mean, because if they tell us, hey, it's not gonna contradict anything, it's not that much ground. And if we don't do anything with it now, anyway.
Right.
So that's my question. That was just my question, is it something we could contact them and ask them so that we knew which avenue would be the way to go?
Wouldn't hurt to, my concern would be the time frame on them getting back to us before we commence our rights.
I know Father Time is, but is there a way that we can go back? I don't know when this was it 90s when this was all done?
This was. I think it said in one of the documents, I want to say, and actually, if I said I wasn't here, I was, for the FEMA buyout, because it was, I believe, the flood. So I would have been here for a couple years, about 3 years. I was in assistant county.
The reason I was asking is there any way we can fix the mistakes that was made previous? I mean,
I'm not aware that there were any.
well, all I hear is we're not given area for access to the land.
And that's because the area they used to access it was dredge washed out. And we replaced it.
Right. And was it on something that we give them land on?
No, it's on their land. And then they acquired an easement across Mr. Timmerman's land. And JV Farms, although they were never served with the suit. But then when they got out there to utilize their easement, and there were again some contentious issues back and forth, but when they got an injunction to utilize their easement, they realized that the easement they had requested and gone through this whole expensive process to acquire was essentially a creek. And so they couldn't access the property through that creek. So now they're asking for another swath of land further to the east.
I tell you, we have to be involved. I mean, it's county land, and then like I said, the FEMA question, we need to find the answer to that. But I agree with what your analysis was, that as long as we don't have a permanent structure, because we've dealt with FEMA lands quite a bit.
Yeah, I think their answer is going to be they don't care.
As long as you don't build a permanent structure.
Right. Yep.
So. What are the questions you got, Sean?
Well, he was gonna direct the picture, what I was
sorry.
looking at, that's okay.
So, on exhibit A that you're looking at, Sean, it would be, if you see the dark shaded area running from the top of the Schultz property.
Yeah,
Down to the checked area.
yeah,
The first lot that runs through from the north, just after Railroad Street, would be Timmerman property.
right,
The second lot, well, the lot numbers wrong, they're just too small to see.
yeah,
The second lot would be the county lot. Second lot from me.
that's lot number 6, is that what you're talking about? 7,
It is, I have that.
is 9 is a little
It is
triangle,
lot 6 of block 1.
okay,
So if you can.
go to the next page, you can see them.
6.
See, that was all plotted out as a city. And it's.
Just that one block out of all that is what the contention is?
Yes,
One piece.
that's the only, well, that's the only piece of the county, you know, in my opinion, is interested in. The rest is a fight between the other parties. Unfortunately, when yep.
Well, you're basically asking that we have 30 days to redeem the part of them.
If we want to object 30 days from the date of service parties, which is September 17th, then I would need some time to prepare an objection. I can just do it on that day.
And we're not necessarily saying, no, we're just being a part of the discussion.
Yes, if we don't enter into it, we surrender our right to object. Possibly, there may be an opportunity because we would serve as named as a party, which is why they're having to redo this, because of another party not being named. But if we do enter into it, we can always, with the respect,
And give them permission.
correct.
So it's not a hell no, it's getting involved in that discussion.
Which is why I needed to be with you right away, because I need a decision one way or the other.
I don't know if I wanna get involved in it, I don't wanna get in the middle of this. It's already a huge mess, I don't know that I just wanna touch it,
Big ones.
I wanna stay away from it. As
By
far as I can get.
not getting involved in it or what?
The only potential liability we would have, I think, is if objected to something.
Well, then we deal with that later. This is down at Elbert Junction, do you really think they're gonna worry about that little spot of all the stuff that they have to deal with?
Yeah, and I'm not taking.
Have you seen the pictures of what we're talking about?
That's your
It's a
job.
brush pile.
That's your, you know, take it.
I'm with you, I don't wanna.
I don't wanna get anywhere near it.
I'm gonna be involved in it either.
I
way.
know that, I don't,
The land.
I feel like
is-
I'm getting sucked into something that
It's a
Yes.
vacuum.
Both parties have been trying to suck the county into this for the entire time it's been going on.
yeah, I don't wanna be,
We're here to represent the people, not like.
I'd like to help.
Yeah.
Bill
But I
get
think-
access, but I don't,
Sometimes if we just stay back, it might be more help than us getting involved.
yeah, I don't think I wanna go anywhere.
And you're good with that legally?
Yeah.
I'll take a motion
I'll make a motion to stay as far away from this as possible.
and I'll second that.
All right,
All in favor?
I,
I will not do anything and I will notify the other parties' attorneys of the county's position.
Yeah.
So thank you both for your
Yeah,
direction.
yeah, thank you.
You do have technical coverage.
We have anything else on that, Adam, at all?
I think that's it.
make a motion.
No, I'm just here in case you need.
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned. Thank you.